we are live. Hello, Richard from Fleischkrieg. Yeah, Fleischkrieg. So please introduce yourself, what you do, who you are, and maybe where you're from. Anyway, just dive right into it.
So you can still hear me okay? Everything's fine.
I can hear you okay. We have some camera, for the people out there, we have some camera trouble. For the podcast people, it doesn't really matter. We can hear as well, I guess.
So, thanks for having me, Peter. My
name is Tobias. I just chose it was alias. Okay.
Oh, okay. You have so many aliases. You're such a man of mystery.
Exactly. That's me. That's me.
So my name is Richard Cranor, and I lived in Seattle. I was born in Alabama, which is a very southern state, United States, and I now live in LA with Thomas, who you just had on the podcast recently.
Mm-hmm.
He got me to. So I'm primarily, what I do for a living is I primarily do video work and film work. I made a film a couple years ago that's on Amazon called Starleaf. It's about aliens from outer space who have a weed farm growing in the mountains.
Sounds good.
It's good. It's great. It's even when you're high. So, yeah. So, and actually, you know what's funny, Tobias? There's a German version of this.
Really?
It's actually. Oh, dude. What's hilarious is that there's a company called Lighthouse Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're out of Dresden. I could be wrong, but they bought the film at a film festival. Yeah. And so for one night, all over Germany, and at least when I say all over, I mean maybe 20 cities, the film played in German theaters.
In the theaters. Cool,
Yeah.
cool. So you're rich and famous.
I have some weed. That's about all I have left from all that. Some rolling papers and lighters. It was just a lot of fun because the Germans were really good to us. The company really liked the film, and it's a cult film. It's a B movie, but. But the funny thing is, there's a German actor who did all my lines. He did all my voice.
Oh, so you were playing there as well. You were
Yeah.
also in the movie. I see. Okay.
Well, that's the benefit of being the director. You can cast yourself.
Yeah, but it's hard to direct yourself. So sometimes it's good to have some outside people kind of judging your work. I mean, how did you do that?
You know, I'm a pretty there's certain characters and roles that I think you're just a natural at, and if you're not too in your own head and too full of your own nonsense, you can you can gauge. I felt like I could gauge appropriately. Of course, I would watch myself too, and I go, "Oh my God, like that's that's."
Yeah. You have to be honest with yourself.
You have, and that's really lacking in the entertainment business because. You know, it's even with music. Like you have to go out there and you have to be able to have the guts to just do this shit. And then and it's not always perfect. In fact, I feel like most of the time with music and with film business and acting, you can't. It's never 100% because you always think you can do better, and no one knows what better is. Everything's up for grabs in terms of what's the subjective value of what you're doing creatively. But there is instincts that I think people have who are naturally gifted, and really you just have to kind of go for it and see where you land. And sometimes you hit a touchdown, you score a goal, and other times you don't, but it's fine as long as you're out there doing it. Over time you get better at it, right?
That's actually a good point you're making, because it's a lot of people are too afraid to even start, because there's a lot of talent out there, in music, in film, and whatever. But also all these people started somewhere. It's not that they're falling from the sky and aware. So. I completely. I'm with you. You have to have experience, to get experience.
You have to have the experience to get the experience. And some people definitely, you could tell maybe are, maybe not as creative, or as their instincts aren't as great. So fine, go on to something else. But for those who think that they have that and have something to offer, hopefully, you have to take a swing and fall on your face often. But eventually, though, you do start seeing promise. And for me with Starleaf, I would see what was working, and I was luckily able to have enough, I think, honest conversation with myself to see, what I needed to do to change. And of course, I made the role really easy for me. Basically, the role was just me with a ranger outfit on. Like, I didn't do anything extraordinarily different. I'm already a pretty weird guy, so it was easy. The reviews said the park ranger was creepy and weird. I'm like, well, that's me. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't. I didn't try to go out there and do.
And how did you finance the movie? I mean, I don't know if I guess it, like you said, it was a B movie, so it was not that big of a budget movie. But how did you manage? And did you recoup your investment? I guess. Oh, so, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to talk about it. But I'm an actor myself also, so I'm kind of interested in this kind of thing.
Yeah. So again, like in this business, as you know, like there's people out there who try to do it, and again, like it's like because there's so much. I mean, I hate to say it, but there's a lot of insecurity in your art. Sometimes you're like, what am I doing? Is it any good? So some people really overcompensate for it by creating like complexes, these maniacal ego complexes about how great they are, or others are trash themselves. But somewhere down the line, I think a couple of years ago, this was 2015 when I made this. Before then, I had met another actor who was in actually a very popular TV show in the late 90s called Earth Final Conflict. It was a Gene Roddenberry spin-off.
Oh, wow. Gene Roddenberry.
I know. He hung out with Gene Roddenberry's son quite a bit while he was filming the TV show up in Toronto. So he became a friend, and we had worked on a couple projects, and he was like, dude, I'll finance this film. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, let's just find. So let's just say it was well under $100,000 for the budget.
But still, I mean, it's it will be still even what is it? Not six figures, but five figures is still five figures. You know.
Let's say it's a medium-sized five-figure budget, and our return so far is about the same. Actually, we hit, I would say, the initial cost of the production, so we're able to pay back his initial investment. The problem is that we got suckered into thinking that I don't want to say suckered into thinking, but like we just sort of hit the movie came out right when people were transitioning out of the DVD model. So we went the DVD model when we should have probably put some money into just paying YouTube people and other people to promote it. So we have a pretty hefty bill for marketing that we haven't paid off yet. So that's kind of But in the annals, in the world of making a crazy independent B film that should have been laughed right out, not in a good way of acceptance, for it to get a distribution deal both in Germany, here, it plays in England, I think, and actually just to be able to like get its budget back is, I think, something that I'm proud of, and we still get. You
definitely should. I mean, you did like we started the whole thing. You did something, It's even if it would be okay. I'm happy for you that it's not a failure, but it's even if it would be a failure, you did something you wanted to do, and it didn't. If it doesn't work, then you move on and you do something else. But it's an experience you don't get somewhere else. I always if I have a little segue back to music, because the thing is with you can kind of, if you're in your rehearsal space, you can kind of pretend to be on stage and practice how it will be, but the truth is you will never be really to life is life. If you're on stage, it's something completely different, and also what you did, like I could make this movie and blah blah blah, and I wouldn't do this and that. But if you really do it, you see how it really is. If the day to day, and you have a good day, you have a bad day, you have a good actor, you have a not so good actor, and stuff. So, and how do you deal with all these things, with these challenges? But even though, nevertheless, they make you to a different person. You make a more accomplished person, and now you can say, hey, my movie played in Germany and da 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 da. I mean, it's it's a nice conversation starter. I don't know if you're single or something. If you go into now in Corona times it's tougher, but I can use a nice pickup line, whatever.
I tell you, you know what? Nothing beats being a musician though for the women. Like I for years I played, I did movies, I did acting, and you it's kind of cool. Like you'll meet a girl and she's like, oh, you're a creative artist type, and you're able to like not just live in a fantasy world. You've actually gone out and you've had some success, and that works. But man, to this day, like if I ever had a child, ever had a son, and he came out the chute. And he just, I could just like, hey, man, I don't know, man. I don't think you're going to be very successful with the girls. Go get a guitar, because I guarantee.
That's true. You can. What's the name? Woon or swoon every girl. Even with some power chords and just some really bad stuff. It's if you really do it nicely.
You ever hear the story of the lead singer? No, not the lead singer. The lead guitarist of Rammstein. I forgot his name. Richard, I think his name is
Richard Kruspe.
Right. So he's got this hilarious story of how he was just partying as a kid, and there was a girl in an apartment with him, and there was an acoustic guitar that wasn't even his.
I remember. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He just started making noise on it, and he said there was a look on her face that changed the way he saw his future.
I mean. I know. I mean, we're both older now. I'm married, whatever. But if you're young and have lots of pimples, and the guitar glosses over a lot of things, and you get somewhere faster than maybe if you're just a chess player or whatever. So yeah,
you're gonna get that queen a lot quicker. I don't know what it is too, because I think there's something about the creative arts and the spirit of the people that do it that can take you to this place that no other real field of endeavor in the human condition gets to. So, like music, like for me with Fleischkrieg, which I'm glad you like.
Fleischkrieg. You have to learn how to pronounce your name.
Okay, tell me how to say it again.
Fleischkrieg. Krieg. Fleischkrieg. You have to say it. Rammstein. Krieg.
That's where being German really helps.
You picked your own name, so it's your fault. No, it's fine. It's fine.
But it is my fault. The thing is like I woke up one day at an old age, at like 40 something, and I had been dicking around with music since I was probably in my teens, but I was always really afraid and insecure about it. And I did the film thing, and the film thing made me happy. But going through film it's a huge amount of work, and the payoff is at the end of the day, seeing an audience enjoy it, getting responses from people. But it's just such a lot of money too. Like you have to spend a ton of money. It takes years. And at the end of the day, you're still always hustling. Like I know a guy who made a film that played at Sundance. He got on, I think he's on HBO, and he still struggles to get into the door at the meeting. So part of me was like, and I hate to admit this, but part of me was like, I kind of like, probably in my mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, I bailed on music because music to me was too much of a risk, I think. Like I was just too afraid to try to do it. And so I settled on doing karaoke for 20 years at a bar.
What?
That's what I've been doing. Yeah, for like the last 15, 18 years.
Really? I mean, okay, it's like a training device. You use, I mean, you learn different styles. You have to be in tune most of the time. I mean, it helps, right? And okay, but karaoke is for me. This is kind of like all this Asian stuff is karaoke. They have a lot of karaoke bars and stuff. I think I did it once for fun at a party, and I nailed all the Depeche Mode songs, and all the others I didn't even know, but the other kids were singing.
So Depeche Mode is a great karaoke singing style for most people, especially if you're in like our genre, because his voice seems to be better suited to what we do, and his notes don't go as crazy, but like karaoke is really good training because you do get thrown into doing songs that are not comfortable for you and in front of people. So it was my way of trying to live vicariously as a musician because I was too afraid to make my own stuff for a long time. And then one day I woke up and I know this is going to sound really corny. But we're supposed to be having an honest conversation here.
So I mean, be corny.
Just say it. Be corny. Okay. Well, one day I was, I'd made Starleaf. I'd been singing karaoke, and I had gotten rid of my guitar like 10 years prior. And I go on YouTube, and I just start going down like the rabbit hole of old 90s rock music from like the Seattle grunge era, and looking at old Ministry and looking at old Nine Inch Nails. And these were all these bands that had really been a big part of my childhood and my young years. And then I think I started crying. Like I literally was like I had not heard rock in a while. And I had been listening to Rammstein and stuff, but I hadn't really heard like what used to be popular music in America. This is very interesting to me. Like why, what happened? Rock is such an important part of like humans expressing their anger, their truth. I really think this. And contemporary music's fine, EDM's fine, pop's fine. But like over the years, I've noticed those brands of music like getting more and more just like distance from like people in their garage starting a band, and more towards like producers who are already part of a massive, network of interest outside of, let's say, your soul, making, controlling the industry. So that day I was like, I got to get back into music somehow, because I forgot how much it really did mean a lot to me. And then, I started doing like a little like, well, what am I going to play? And I can't speak German. So I started noticing that all the bands that I really, really liked now that had guitars, which I really love the hard guitar, but had the Depeche Mode, like atmospheric synth sound, were these, I'm going to say it wrong, but Neue Deutsche Härte?
Neue Deutsche Härte. Yeah, I know what. NDH. Just say NDH. Neue Deutsche Härte. This is New German Hardness. And in Rammstein there's Omph. You might know Omph or Umph. And Eisbrecher. And these bands, yeah.
I noticed that these guys were making the most perfect music for my ears. It was like, wow. So really, it's these Germans that are doing this, and so that's why I came up with Fleischkrieg, because I'm a copycat. Let's just say it. I'm stealing ideas from other people. But to me, like that sound is perfect. I like a lot of different stuff. What my soul wants to play. And I don't even know if Fleischkrieg is really like that now. It's more of like I say it's a child offspring of Rammstein and Gary Newman. And I don't think they can actually have a baby, but if they did, that's kind of what our sound is. But that's what got me back, was just kind of having this epiphany one day that yes, I can be an actor and I can do films. But this is going to sound corny, but when I was on stage doing karaoke, I was like, man, this is the only time that I ever feel really good is when I'm creating music. And it's simpler as an artist to not totally simple, but less cost inhibitive to, put a song together with some software you can get and some computer hardware, versus me going out to Hollywood, trying to drum up all this money to make another film about aliens and weed. Like that's $100,000 to a $500,000 adventure that I don't want to spend years trying to make, when I could have something more authentic, on stage. So.
And how did you come to choose the name Fleischkrieg? I mean, I'm German, I understand what it means. So, but you must have some meaning. Yeah, I mean, you put something in there, I guess.
Every day is a flesh. We're in a war of the flesh. Every day we're on this planet. Where basically there's something or some force trying to extract from us our life force, our blood. Whether it's through blood, taking it in the form of war or in the form of conflict. But I'm actually a really big believer in aliens and paranormal topics. I've had a lot of really crazy experiences, and the body itself I look at the human body as a matrix, as a conduit for a bunch of different energy and dimensional forces coming together. And so we're a resource. Our human body is kind of like a resource, I think, for a lot of different forces. And it's a struggle every day for us to get up and maintain our individuality, maintain our purpose, because there's always something trying to take something from us, that's how I look at it. Whether it's a virus, literally like the coronavirus, or it's a mind virus that you inherit from your parents, your religion, it eventually controls your body. It eventually affects the way your body responds to its environment. It compromises the immune system. So to me, like, we're in a time where our flesh is at war with the surrounding forces, and it's just trying to preserve it. So that's kind of what the whole. I mean, it's typical. Like, if you're a goth kid, you're going to be dramatic about shit. So. But I also love the German language. I studied Russian.
Я не понимаю.
Я знаю только немного, or ты знаешь только немного. Yeah, I got out of a jaywalking ticket from a police officer once speaking Russian.
Oh, really?
So cool. He comes up to me. I'm crossing the street, and he's like, "Hey, get over here! Get over here!" I'm like, "Okay." I come over. He's like, "What the hell you think you're doing, man? What the hell?" I was like, "Я не говорю по-русски. Я знаю только," and he's just like, "Oh, forget it, man." So it really helped me one day.
Okay, I see. The cute girls, they just, use their eyes and just do like, "Oh yeah, Mr. Officer," and when they're good, and we have to do the hard work and learn a language.
Yeah, we have to learn a language. You can do
and learn guitar to get to the girls, So it's so unfair. The world is at a war at flesh or meat. Yeah.
Well, you say probably it means meat more than it means flesh, huh?
I just wanted to say, I guess you know this already. In German, we don't have a distinction between meat and flesh. That's just Fleisch for both. If it doesn't matter if it's animal meat or if it's human flesh. It would be also human meat, basically. So it's a little bit more sinister when you see it this way. It can be. Anyway, it's I guess you heard of a long pig and whatever. The cannibals used to call humans. In German there's no distinction between both of them.
That's pretty scary, man. That's why we're still afraid of Germany. That's,
I'm gonna eat you.
That's right. So what? Bologna, human,
yeah,
whatever fits between the bun, right?
Exactly. Whatever floats your boat. If you're hungry, you don't choose much.
You're hungry, guys. Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
You know that.
So what do you think of that name? Like, I to me, it was just something that I just thought would be a great, like, hard rock, industrial type thing, and but yeah, it does mean something to me because I have had these experiences, and I do feel like my whole life has been this struggle to just get what's inside my soul out into the real world. And whether they like it or not, I don't care. I just want to make sure that while I'm on this planet that I did my best to try to, like, make sure that if I had anything to offer, I offered it versus hide it versus run from it. Because it is a really tough experience, I think, life on planet Earth. I mean, it's very difficult. And I think artists have the hardest journey outside of someone maybe starving in the Sudan, because you're in this world where you have to take great risks, and the risk can be economic, they can be personal, but like it takes risk. Like cops risk their lives, firefighters risk their lives, of course, but I think as an artist you're kind of on the front line of trying to, like, serve your customer, or I don't want to say customer, I hate that word.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And
right,
I also think it's kind of because, okay, this might, I have to phrase it nicely, because as an artist, you usually feel a little bit deeper, so everything affects you more in the good way and in the bad way. If you have, like, let's say, a baseline person who are not really thinking that much, just, running from thing to thing, and very shallow person, let's put it this way. And so this is the good thing for an artist, if you really have joy and really, one with the universe or whatever, you're really in it, you really feel it much deeper. But also, if something bad happens to you, it kind of hits you harder because of that. And if you're more shallow, this kind of is like Plato, I think, was the unconsidered life. If you don't really get all the routes you could go and try out things and put yourself out there, put yourself at risk, that you show your heart out. I had this once. Where I was laughed at a string broke on, so I was really, man, and then people were making fun, and I kind of turned the situation around and being funny, but it kind of hurt me a lot because I wasn't taken seriously, and I guess you know this too. It's kind of, you put on a mask, or you put on a facade for your gig. That's perfect with all this goth stuff, and you're being a manly man and whatever, right? So, and I like to play these roles. It's really cool. That's but still, there is still some art, even in this facade. There's some art from you, some real, in German we say blood of your heart. You have poured in there, so some really special. And if this gets stomped by someone and they just walk over you, then this is quite hard. So I see this more as a like you said, with your journey, you made a movie. You made a movie, but you were afraid to make your own music, because a movie is kind of it's a multi-layered endeavor. There's the cutter, there's the cameraman, there's this and that, and the script guy, but if you make music, it's just you. It's your music. It's very personal. So I can completely understand, that it was a tough decision to get there, to put yourself out there.
Yeah, and I have this thing. I think I learned this from the film business, which is like, I don't want to go do anything if it's just a pipe dream. If I'm really just not that talented at it, I don't want to do it. So, but even if you're talented, the one thing I learned from the film business too is talent means almost nothing in the film business. What means a lot in the film business is having a rich uncle
and good connections. And being part of that system, and whether you want to be or not, because that system just has it's a system, and getting into that system takes a lot of work, and you got to sacrifice and have sex with children, according to the conspiracy theories. I don't know, maybe that's why I haven't been invited, but it's just even with aside from all that, it's just something where you have to build at it, and it takes a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. It's too hard to do on your own with two other guys in a club. You got to really put a lot in it. But I also was hiding there. I do now look back on that, and I kind of realized that I had something to offer as far as a little bit of talent, but I could always say I'm just acting, or it's just some script that I wrote. It's cool, bro, but it's not it's not what I really feel about something. I can't get there, but music is just, like you said, it's just you. And let's be honest, like people are opinionated who listen to music, and like I've been really mean in my own reviews of people, and I think I'm an asshole about it, because I'm like, that's whatever it is you think about this musician, like I've been on stage now once or twice, I guess, with Fleischkrieg, and I really loved it, but I was just thinking to myself, man, like for anybody to get up here and take a shot at performing live, you're risking, it's your ass. You're really risking your ass. You're risking you can look so stupid, because singing is very primal. It's more primal than anything that I know. It's really coming up from and as an artist, you have to weigh like this, like you want to be authentic, but you don't want to be
ridiculous. Like you want to find that and this is just my philosophy. I want to find that spirit that makes me want to be there and to do it, and also be able to still like have a little bit of humor when I need to sort of to enjoy the whole experience. But it's like we're almost like you're channeling. I feel like you're channeling that your rock and roll ego and giving it a chance to like do
exactly. I mean, every person is a multifaceted, multi-layered person.
Yes, it's very true.
You're an actor, you're a lover, you're a musician. There's so many different things of you. But what I think it's when you're on stage, you get out the rock star in you. You kind of get this, but this is also what the people want. I always like to quote Lemmy, and Lemmy said, if people come to see you, we don't want to see the nice guy from their house. We want to see the rock star. So give them the rock star. And so in a way, it's acting a little bit. You get in it with acting, but when you are kind of, this is also part of you. So it's not completely a facade. I guess you know this well. What I mean. It's you are a little bit a public figure, and this also shields you a little bit from criticism, and you can just be the mean guy in your act. But also there is something in it from you. So you're still a little bit. You still open your heart a little bit to be vulnerable, but also shielded with a little bit of. Of a stage persona.
This is going to sound so silly, but over the years of doing karaoke on a stage, like you realize when you get up there that people don't want to see you fail. They don't want you to hide. They want you to do your thing and let it go. And you're one thing about music too, especially in America. America has, I don't know. I mean, let's say Western culture in general, like you don't have a lot of community-based primal events like some of these indigenous cultures. If you study all of these indigenous cultures, the most common thing that they all do is they sing together, right? They do. Like it's a weird thing. If you look all around the world, there's always a drum circle or singing event that's pretty common, pretty often, right? And Europe has it. You go to. I went to a bar, I think, in England and some other places, and there's like the bar, ethnic bar band playing. It's cultural. It's folk music. So the point I'm trying to make is that, it's almost like, I don't want to get too out there, but it's almost like a shaman's journey is to like allow the people in an environment of some kind connect together, and it seems like music and singing is the most powerful form of that, is the most ritual form in which humans get together and bond together. And that's why karaoke I think is so successful. People get drunk, they get up there, or bands, when they play their music, people are getting drunk. Like it's not a waste of time. It's a very, because you spend your whole.
It's kind of a spiritual. It's a spiritual thing. I guess we lost a little bit. I'm not very religious, but when you go to church, you sing together, and that's also a communion. This is kind of, and I was, I grew up in a church, so I wanted to become a pastor as I was younger. But not anymore. Don't worry. But I really missed that because I really liked the singing. And when you get in there and you hear all these other voices, you train your voice. And as I was living in Montreal, I was in a gospel choir. I really liked that. It was tough for me as a German. You don't see me, but it was either I clap intact or I sing right. I couldn't do both. And next to me there was all these African people, and we were like, oh, dancing around and singing and hitting the tunes right. And I was like, this white little guy, and either I clap right or I sing right. So it was such a great community. I completely get what you mean. It's a sense of belonging together. It kind of I can even, okay, so it shouldn't be about me, but I can even relate another story. As I was also living in Budapest, in Hungary, and I couldn't speak Hungarian, but I found a bass player, and I couldn't talk with her because she couldn't speak German or English, and I couldn't speak Hungarian, but we couldn't make music together. It was really great. I mean, it didn't matter. She had a guitar and I had a guitar, and we were just playing together because we could see the chords and we could hear the music, we could get the rhythm. And if I needed to talk with her, I called a friend who could speak German and Hungarian and told him what he should tell her. And then I gave her the phone, and then so this is how we communicated at the first. Later we found other people. We had a whole band, and anyway, so my point is, this was music. We were not understanding each other, but we were in tune. We were making music together, and this was really great.
Oh man, I mean, it was one of those profundities that hit me a couple of years ago. I was like, man, this whole time I've been running from the one thing that I really want to do, and I just gotta do it because like you said, music is the universal language. And something about music too, and I study a lot of quantum physics and stuff like that. And, and for me, kind of why I've been doing Fleischkrieg is because...
Very good, very good pronunciation. Very good.
Better. Well, because I think that what traps human beings, what really limits human beings, and my own experience with my family, watching some of my family members suffer, is the repression and the destruction of their spirit as they were young, or even when they got old, and they find themselves, or we find ourselves in like these limited situations sometimes that aren't really fair. And so rock especially, and metal and for some reason like synth pop to me taps into that reservoir of emotion that needs to come out, so that you can kind of recalibrate. Again, this is part of fighting the Fleisch war. Is you have to like attack this in a way. If you don't, you'll just be smashed down, your whole life. So even if you just go out there and, like, for me, like when I first performed Fleischkrieg, I couldn't hear my vocals. Like for the first time, I realized, oh, this is why it's so hard to sing live, because like, fuck, where's the monitor? I didn't know anything about this. Because it's all new to me. Thomas is fine. Thomas is just sitting there. He's just doing his whole thing, and he's done this 1,000 times. Me, I'm like, oh fuck, I can't hear anything. And so I was up there, but I remember feeling so good when I performed. All I want to do is sing in a rock band the rest of my life. I don't really care about doing anything else. I want to feed myself. I want to eat. But that to me was like the coolest thing, because I got a chance to really like connect to that part of me that was dying to try to express itself in some way, and other people enjoyed that. Like, I realized this isn't just some fantasy world. Like, this is a necessity in life, I think, because if you don't have a community of people that are trying to do this, and I don't care about the failure that much. I don't want to look stupid, but I know through the efforts I've put into other creative endeavors, sooner or later, you get better at what you do. If you have, I think, I can already see that I've gotten a little bit better, but just trying to find the time to do it is hard when you're trying to work all the time and that kind of stuff. But it's been cool, and that's I don't know. I mean, for me, music is I'm very happy to have met Thomas, and he really kind of put a fire under my ass to sort of. Yeah,
this was a chance meeting just to talk about this, because Thomas told me, and it was like. Yeah. Okay, this is really, I mean, where you can think of a god or a higher up or something to kind of get you guys together. Just tell it from your end.
Yeah, I really do think that. I really do think that fate put us together in some weird way, because it really was the oddest thing. So I used to be an Uber driver. I used to drive for Uber, and I got stories. That's a whole other podcast. And one day I picked him and him and his people up. July 4th, I think it was July 4th, a couple of years ago. And, I don't even know. I always try to make conversation when I'm an Uber driver, because I want to make sure I'm not carrying a psychopath. I want to know who's in my back seat. And they seemed pretty cool. And they were from out of state. And like I said, I'm from Alabama. So I'm not really I'm from there, but I'm not your typical Alabaman. which I don't know if in Germany, if you know people from Alabama.
Exactly. I just wanted to say I wouldn't know how to. I mean, we have here Bavaria, and we have the because like wie ist ja kein Weißwurstschnitt, they talk a little bit different, and so like you would think, like Americans usually think Lederhosen and all this stuff. This is only a part of Germany, and it's a big part of Germany, but not. This is not where I'm from, I'm close to it, but this is not our. Anyway, so my point is, I wouldn't know what an Alabamian.
Imagine a red hat that says "Make America Great Again" on it.
Okay, yeah, MAGA.
MAGA country with a bunch of like GMO, like white cholesterol bread, and it's
okay.
In a church. I mean, it's crazy. So I started talking to him, and the subject of industrial metal came up, and I just looked over like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, what you like it? Because nobody around here that I know really likes it, except for a few goths living in a dungeon somewhere, right? So he starts talking about Rammstein. I'm like, what? And I had just made a 2-song demo that I had on SoundCloud at the time. And I was like, wow, this is a really chance meeting, because I've been wanting to work with somebody who actually knows what they're doing, who's performed and who's had experience playing music. And I'm just this struggling, not struggling, but like newly discovered, hey, I want to sing guy. And so then I sent him my links, and I went to his show. I started stalking him, which is how you really get attention. So you just got to do that. And I'm a big guy, so I'm probably scared the shit out of him. But he's a big guy. He's not small. He's not small potatoes either. He's not to be trifled with, as he likes to say. And so when he played at this one show, and he played a song called Aftercath, which he's now going to let me sing on. And when I heard that song, I was like, man, that's like the perfect sound that I want as from playing guitar. Like, it's not overblown, which is fine if that's your thing. But it was just like that right touch where that I think Rammstein does really well, because there's a lot of great bands out there, but it's really the simple chugging power riffs that I think have a lot more power than people realize until they watch the show and they go.
For me, it's just kind of it's pop melodies just played very hard, basically. Nothing else. It's I like pop like you. Eurythmics. I grew up with Eurythmics, and Sweet Dreams are made of these and stuff. This is my kind of stuff, and they just do it in a hard way. Basically, that's it.
So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's exactly what Fleischkrieg is to me. Like I realize that I'm actually just a pop artist trying to be hard, trying to say. But that's what really feels. That's where I feel connected, though, is in that harsh pop sound. And luckily he plays that. He's also really into a lot of hard, death, fast stuff too. So I hope I can keep him entertained long enough with Fleischkrieg to perform a few more shows. But yeah, it was a really chance random meeting, and it's been great, because he's been sort of like my like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know what to do.
He was your tutor, or kind of helped you. Your mentor, maybe, or so.
Yeah,
showed you the ropes.
Yeah, he's still doing it. I mean, he's still helping me with stuff. Now, we're going to have our, artistic differences here and there, but like in general, I know that I can depend upon him to like have a realistic assessment of what's possible, how to pull it off in front of a group of people, things that I remember going to our first show, and I was really intimidated. There was a band on stage doing sound check. I'll never forget this. And one of the guys was up there, and he was just like, and he was doing he was doing karate kicks and shit in the dressing room. Like, he was doing his kata or some shit. And I'm like, God, these guys are fucking serious rock and roll people. Like, I'm just some dude who's, living on the internet for a while, having some fantasy about being a rock star. Like, these guys are fucking doing it. And Thomas comes out, and he has a stick of like black eyeliner or some kind of face paint. His face is all done up, and and I'm like, he's like, do you want some? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's. That was my initiation into rock, right? Putting on a little paint and getting up there and doing it. So yeah, I mean, like our meeting has been very good. It's good having somebody who can really play, who knows music, who's supportive of my pop aspirations. And I came down to freaking LA to live with him, and he's got a right now I'm in the backyard house. There's a house in the backyard. So so far so good. You know, I haven't had a lot of time to make music in the last couple of months because I've been trying to get my video business up and running. But I think after the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take a month off from work, and I'm just going to finish the album and hopefully release.
Okay. And you can send it my way because you know I have a little radio show and I have a little playlist and stuff, and I can help you in my little way. And you know this video will help also. You know, people will get to know you. And so how do you support yourself? You said that you have a video business, so you're making videos like weddings or what, something like that?
So I got really lucky. So a couple of years ago, after I made Starleaf, we ran out of money for the film. We actually started selling actual cannabis and marijuana, not illegally, but through the state. But then, the weed business is like, first of all, you're dealing with people who spent their whole lives on the black market. So they're not bad people, but they're just sort of like used to a way in which they do business that's a little bit trickier, right? It's a little bit under the table sometimes, and we just couldn't keep that system going. We had a greenhouse that failed, and so when the greenhouse failed, our crops we couldn't sell the crops to the market. So anyway, that fell apart, and I was sitting around going, "What do I do? You know, how am I going to support myself?" So I started Uber driving to just stay alive, but I had always been doing video, and so I just started investing in my camera gear again, which is really expensive, and it sucks to have to always spend so much money on cameras. But I eventually had a couple old clients that I had previously worked with at a marketing firm, and they just said, "Hey, we need to do some videos," and doing those videos for them led to doing videos for their partners. And now I have about, I'd say, 3 or 4 pretty regular clients that hire me once a month, once every couple months, to just go and film organic fertilizer. Exciting.
What?
Things.
What?
Yeah. Well, actually,
How do you film organic fertilizer? I think it's it lies on the ground and that's it. It doesn't move. You know, how about you say action and then you light it up or what?
Action and fertilize. It's funny. Well, here's the thing. So I'm actually really proud of them because they're a company. They're a company in Seattle that takes the waste from the grocery stores and they put it into this thing. It's called the harvester, and they turn it into fertilizer that then the farmers go and reuse again. So for all of you that are environmentalists or people that are into organic food, to me, it's really cool because I'm all about trying to not destroy the planet any more than we have to. And so to me, to be able to do that was kind of hey, I'm part of this thing that's helping these people, keep I'm just really into food, eating, trying to eat well, trying to not be destructive. I mean, I'm not a total environmentalist at all, but to me, that was kind of purposeful work for me. And so they got me going. They gave me a gig last month where I'm filming, fields and crops and again fertilizer, but it's still rewarding. And so then I also do real estate stuff. So basically, it's just corporate small business stuff. But what's nice about it is it's totally freelance. I don't have a job. I don't have to wake up at a certain time. It's a little scary when you don't have any work. So I'm trying to build up a savings right now and just try to do these gigs often enough to keep going, but it might all work out in the day if I can just keep. And the crazy thing is with coronavirus, I thought I was done. I mean, even driving for Uber, having to wear the mask and people afraid to travel. So, but for some reason, I've been really blessed in the last couple months to be able to move down to LA, to be able to keep getting work. And so what I'm trying to do, I don't know if this is your case, but in my life, I try to, put my finger up to the wind and figure out, okay, which way is it blowing? What can I do right now in this moment that gives me the maximum opportunity to do what I need to do? And right now it's okay, edit my ass off, shoot all the videos I can, and then when I get a window of time, no one's looking, I'm gonna make that album, and I'm gonna move on and see what happens after that, right? But me and Thomas I don't know, he's probably told you this, like we have this total fantasy and dream of going to Germany, going to Europe.
Yeah, he told me. I'm. If you do, I mean, I will be there. I might even host you or whatever. I might even open for you.
That's what we need. We'll do a co-headliner. Because
that would be cool.
It would be cool. Well, you actually already really helped me out. You actually put one of my songs on your radio station a couple months ago, maybe like half a year ago.
Yeah, I think I forgot. Awesome. I had to admit I forgot. But I mean, you got something out of it, obviously.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was just perfect. We're all helping each other, and I love that. And to me, like we call it the fatherland, the motherland. Like for us here in America, like industrial pop rock is not, I would say, at the top of the charts right now, but it feels like, well, first of all, I just want a free if I get a free tour of Europe, that's all my musical aspirations. Take like I like some beer and some trips to the.
There's a lot of beer here. That's for sure.
That's what we hear. So that would be perfect for me in my life. I would call it good at that. If my music could give me a tour, I'd have no complaints. I'm very simple that way. I don't need to like try to prove or show or have a bunch of money. I just need enough. I just need to be doing what I think is the best thing that I can offer the world in some capacity, and not starve to death or die of some horrible death in the meantime. Try to postpone that as long as possible. So we would love to go to Europe. We would definitely love to do that. Because in America, it's just there's people that listen to it here, but it just seems like in Europe it's more common to go to a show where like there's no drummer, or if there is one, they're just more into like that synth electronic guitar type sound. When I made Fleischkrieg, well, the first version of my music was called something else. It was called Plot Device, and we were doing like Depeche Mode type stuff. And I just remember looking at the MySpace analytics. This is back from MySpace.
Oh yeah, that's a while back.
That's a while back. And seeing all of these hits from Germany and hits from Belgium and hits from France, and I started realizing that's kind of where the audience for what I like to do is. So,
I mean, that's the great thing today. I mean, it has a back and forth kind of thing. I'm also a music curator, as you might know, or I mean, I'm a DJ. I don't see myself as a DJ. It's always a little bit weird because I'm just playing music. I'm just saying, okay, and now I play da da da. This is a DJ. If this is a DJ, then I'm not. I mean, I'm just an announcer of music, basically. Yes, I am. And the cool thing is, today with the internet, we are having a conversation, right? And we are worlds apart. And the music, you see where it hits. I mean, in the past, my point is, in the past, you would have been like this strange guy who likes this really strange music. He might never heard. And he never knew what he was missing. And now you can, there's a kid in Mexico who likes you, and then there's a lot of guys in Germany who like you, and kind of it boosts your ego a little bit without being like overblown ego, something, but it's kind of. It's cool. There's this big community, like you said. We're helping each other, and it's not a dog world. It's kind of, if you're doing well, I'm happy. And this also will bring more attention to the music we love. So I mean, why would I be afraid to help you because you might be better than me or whatever? You be different. I don't like this kind of thinking. There's enough for all of us in this big world.
Totally, and one thing, that's kind of what I learned from the film work that I've done is like, so one thing about doing your art is that, and especially with the film business that I learned is like, it's impossible to make everybody happy. You're never going to do it. And then sometimes you'll make people happy that you never expected to make. And so I try to give myself what I call it my core competency. Like I just want to find an objective analysis that says, Rich, what you're doing is within the realm of competent and maybe good. I might not want to listen to it or watch it every day, but the effort you're putting in is going somewhere. And so having Thomas's like feedback early on, saying, "Hey man, this like my whole litmus test with Thomas was like, dude, I'll show him a couple of my demos. He walks away from this, or he starts treating it like, hey man, I'll play some guitar, but it's going to be $400 an hour and blah blah." When he just said that they were good, it really made me feel good. It really made me realize that he's probably, I don't think Thomas has a playlist right now of the type of music. I mean, he listens to a lot of different stuff, but as a musician, as somebody who's played music, who's been in a lot of bands, who's been around a lot of music, he's seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And for him to put me in the category of at least okay, if not a little bit better, was huge for me. Because again, we're not the only talented people on the planet, or I wouldn't even say that. Who knows if I'm talented or not? The point I'm trying to make is like, you can't there's no need to compete. It's just a matter of like showing up to do it and getting better at it and seeing what happens. Because the very fact of me being able to meet someone like him, meet someone like you, and be able to do this thing called music is an extraordinarily awesome opportunity. Because I could be paralyzed, unable to type or play a keyboard. Could be dead, I've had enough of a go around with life to see where to be able to make music is really, I think, an extraordinary gift that some people are lucky to have. And the idea that everyone's going to love it is absolutely pointless. Like, you cannot go through life thinking that, because not everybody loves Starleaf the movie. Let me tell you that. There's some reviews, but the funny thing is, man. The funny thing is, there were people that really did like it, and I didn't pay them to like it. They actually really loved it, so I've learned that your art, we're in a niche, right? Like it's a total niche, and the niche is not for everyone, but for anybody who it is good for, it's really nice to be able to collaborate with them and connect with these people, because we're all coming from that same place in our soul where we're trying to figure out this world, and we're trying to express ourselves, and we're trying to enjoy it however we can. And that's what the music lets us do together. And so I'm pretty blessed right now to be in a place in my life where I feel like I'm going to keep getting better at this. We'll see where it goes. But I have no competitive agenda, because that's just that's just pointless,
I think you have the right attitude. You're just grateful to do something. I mean, that's exactly what everyone is looking for, to do something what he really loves to do, and you will see how far it will get you. I mean, you in your video business, so maybe you can make a cool video or whatever, and then this will hit, because the music and the video and the cuts you make, it's so great and whatever. But even if it doesn't, it's kind of, you do something you love, so it's not in vain. It's not wasted time. That's what like I came home today, and I said, I'm to my wife, I have this talk with this guy and stuff, and I'm really excited because it's something I like. For me, this is. You could say it's work, but it's not work. You see what I mean? It's kind of, I enjoy doing this, and I think that's also what I learned being on stage. If you're really into it, what you're doing, and not just going through the motion and, okay, now comes this chord, now comes that chord, da 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 da, and so then the spark will fly over to the audience, and it will ignite them, and it will really, and this is the greatest thing you can have as a. It's almost like a drug sometimes, I think. I don't know how did you feel after your first show and you really kind of killed it, and afterwards it's kind of, oof, you drop down and like, oh, I need another fix. I need to do this again. It's so great. And, I guess you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that was the one thing that I remember coming off a stage for our first show was like, this is what I love to do. I felt so at home on the stage. I just felt like like I could get better at this, I could be competent at this, and I could call myself a musician someday. You know, I don't have to have a Grammy. I don't have to have full acceptance. Just the fact of being able to get up there, get the words out, have the spark shine briefly in the annals of my human experience in the records. Like that was probably one of the top experiences. And you know, to me, it's just really, really important that people go through their lives, and if they have anything to offer in that department, whatever it is, they've got to find a way to do it and find their tribe, and not really give a shit about all of the results that they might think that they need to get from it or not. Like you just kind of just show up and do it, and allow life to take its course. Whichever way it wants to go from there. But I think what happens is they're just too afraid. They're just too judgmental. You know, I know a lot of people in the film business, and it really drives me crazy, who talk about how they're going to write a script, how they're going to do a project, and you see them talk themselves out of it long before they ever commit to it. You know, they just sort of because the truth is you have to take risks. You have to take risks that are going to basically expose you for your weaknesses, right? The gym does the same thing. You know, if you're not strong enough to lift this much weight, you're not strong enough to lift that weight, you know? So it's like I don't look at those things as bad. I just look at those things as like temporary things you need to figure out, right?
Exactly. That's a good point also. You get better when you do it. It's like a muscle, you know. The more you train it, the better you get, the more experienced you are. You have your first heckler you have to deal with, and then, what do I do now? And he's throwing something at me, and then, you know, then next time you just guard it and throw it back at him or whatever. Or, you know, yeah.
The fact that you have a heckler is significant. Someone is heckling you. That means you're doing something that they're not.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's actually I wasn't thinking about this.
Yeah, I mean the fact that I've earned my own heckler, I've been like really proud. I would actually get off the stage. I actually I've had some people, you know, heckle, but I had a lot of people being pretty supportive. But I would get on stage like, dude, let me get your autograph. Like, man, you're my first heckler. Let's get a selfie and then get back on stage. I mean, I don't know. Like to me. There's a quote from an American president. I think it's Theodore Roosevelt. It's called "The Man in the Arena" quote, and it's my favorite quote, and I cannot fucking remember it. Sorry, exactly, but you have to look it up later. It's great because like it's all about the guy who goes into the arena. You know, he's not in the stands, comfort of the mob. He doesn't have the comfort of the mob. He doesn't have the comfort of conformity. It's him out there or her, taking a risk, and that person has more courage and spirit than those people will ever know. All right, unless yeah. And so I've learned just in my own life, failure is not a problem. I just tried to identify a couple things in my life, which is okay. So what do I really want to do? You know, what does my spirit really want to do? Is there any possibility that I might have either a gift or a predisposition towards this? Is it worth doing? And if I do it, how do I measure how successful I am at it? You know, and I just wrote a song a couple days ago that Thomas heard, and Thomas told me this is a good song. Like he thinks it's good. And I noticed just from the singing that I've been doing over the last year, how my voice is starting to change. Like I'm starting to see, hey, I might be able to actually sing this way now. This is all because of just going out there and doing what you love, and being able to assess it. I mean, I guess there are people that get delusional, and that's fine too. But you know, I like to think I'm in a place now where my ambition's pretty simple. I just want to open up for some band or play some.
For Rammstein, just say it. Just say Rammstein. You know, of course, Rammstein and Ministry. Just want to open up for them, and you know, be with them on stage. Do some some.
Get a lot of hecklers. I want a lot of hecklers, not just one. I want like 100 of them, right? So that's what I want out of life, right? Just tour with you and go to Europe and drink some beers, and I can look back on this life going, hey man, you know, like people never would have guessed that a kid from Alabama, or people in general would just won't take those kinds of risks. I mean, if I didn't think, or if I really didn't think I had any business trying this, I would just go find another thing to do. But this is something that's always called out to me, and I know it calls out to a lot of people. And I hope anybody who feels the call just goes through the process of like trying to get better at doing it, because there's niches for everything. I mean, I go on the internet now, and I'm still in shock that synthwave became a huge thing, because I grew up listening to like synth music, and to see like a whole genre of kids that are walking around with like aviator glasses and watching, I'm just like, when the fuck did that? I was made fun of for liking that shit, and now you guys are around with video game synthwave, like, you know, that whole genre of music now is a thing. It's been a thing, I guess, for a while. And I was like, you know, I don't know, like, you guys like Tron? I didn't know you guys like Tron. That's freaking cool. Like, so, you know, you just never, like, it's pointless to chase, I think, other people's expectations.
Exactly. That's a good point. Be yourself, you know, be really, be authentic in a way, because this is also, I have a good friend, he's a really great musician, a really great one, but he's always kind of trying to, this is trending right now, so I should do this and that, you know, and running behind the trends. And like, my point is, just do what you feel like. I mean, what you really mean, you know, like what I meant with a heart blood, just where you really want to put in your heart and be authentic. And you said something before that really made me remind of, I have a daughter, she's 7 years old, and she just, you know, in her room, she sings and dances and doesn't care about the world. And what you said in the beginning kind of reminded me. And then the world comes in, and you're not supposed to do this, and you're not supposed to do that, and this put it away, and this you do private and not in public and whatever. And then you kind of fill all these happiness with these simpleness of with all these chores she has to do, and she has to be this and that, and you have to be a good pupil, and you have to do that. And for me, it sounded like, you know, you had all this, and you kind of slowly put all the gravel, what was hitting, you know, hindering you from getting out, to let your creative out, your creative being. And so now you're basically back to square one. I mean, where you started, you know, to be a free spirit, like every child, you know, that's reminded me of my daughter, is starting out, because we don't know what's wrong or right or whatever. We just do, you know, she just sings for herself because it entertains her, and she likes to hear her voice, and she sings along, and it's wrong, but you know, who cares? It's cool. She likes it, and she's happy, and this is. This is, I guess, the state you are kind of getting close to now again, and this is the state that a human being is most happy with. You know, you don't need much money, you don't need possessions and be, you know, this cool guy or whatever. If you're happy in yourself, in your own skin, that's the greatest gift you can have. And this is what I see in you now.
Yes, it's the most extraordinary gift that any human can possess, because what happens when you're young is you start giving away pieces of your happiness in these complicated promises that of things to come that the adults say is important, right? So you give away all this, or it gets taken from you through trauma and abuse, which is something I experienced a lot of. So you go through all this stuff, then you get to become an adult, and then you're supposed to collect on all these complicated arrangements, and you find out that they never really arrive in time. Like in America, it's really stupid. Like in America, they have this whole thing set up, or they used to. And that's all been changed by coronavirus.
You mean the American dream, or what are you referring to?
Like, yeah, the American dream. Like that was all something that you were scheduled to get at a certain date.
From the dishwasher to the millionaire or something.
Yeah. Sometimes you can still do, but then on top of that, you've got coronavirus, you've got Wall Street crashes, you've got riots. My favorite was the one where you were going to work your ass off until you were 70 or 75, and then you're going to retire. But that's been proven to be kind of a joke, because in the meantime, you've given away all your vital life force to something you probably didn't really believe in.
That's a really good point. I have something to say to this as well.
Say it.
The point is, actually, my mother was like this, you know. She was always like, if I have this, then I will be happy. But this is absolutely wrong, you know. It's you need to be happy now. My kind of how you say view of life is, if I would cross the street now and the bus hits me and I'm dead on the spot, I did everything I wanted to do. I did everything. I'm not finished. There's still so much more I want to do. I want to see my daughter grow up. I want to do, the show with you. I want to tour Europe, and I'm going back with you to America, and then we crush America, and we do all this. So I still have goals, But my point is, if I would die now, there would be very little I would regret not having done, because you only regret the things you don't do. I did some really stupid stuff. I was married before. I lost my first and how you say endeavor, my first business. I really was, I was broke. I had no money. I had nothing, but I did it, And now looking back on it, it made me to the person I am. And if I would never have tried things, I would have not known that I would fail in it, and I wouldn't do it again. But my point is, do things, do things and fail and get off your ass and get up, dust yourself off and start something new. But at least you did. And like you said with the gym, it's you're getting stronger. When you fall down often, you get better in getting up. And then you will figure out what is the right thing for you. And that's the greatest thing you ever can have, to do something you really love. So I would encourage everyone to try that,
That's the whole point of the flesh war analogy. I don't think people really understand how many other forces are trying to take from them their life. Like, I don't think people realize how much this matrix we live in is designed to really control you and your soul, whether it's through intentional or unintentional byproduct of the way it's built. It's just something that's there. And I had cancer 10 years ago. I had stage 3 testicular cancer, and it spread into my lungs. And so I remember being 35 years old, and I had just gotten this job at a marketing firm, and I'd also just gotten divorced. So I already was taking a pretty big hit from that. But I remember thinking, man, I could die at 35, and there's all this shit that I didn't get a chance to do, and I was just like, man, I really want to make sure that while I'm here now and still alive, that I'm not living someone else's life or their expectations. And what people don't know is that you do that subconsciously through
exactly.
Your daughter's in that wonderful time in life where she's got the support and the freedom to do that. But like over the years, it's like these forces will come down.
They will pile on. Yes.
They'll pile on, And I have this thing. So for me, I have this love affair with the idea that maybe someday, if I keep working at this, I could be So if you can marry the child spirit with an adult's competencies, an adult's ability to be pragmatic and have drive to get better at something, then something really extraordinary happens, where that trueness, that essence of your life now has a vehicle in which it can affect upon the world, however that's going to happen, without too much censorship internally and without too much naivety either. So I'm trying to get to that point in my life where I haven't lost the spirit of the child, but I want to be competent enough as an adult to pull it off. And I think people have to realize, if you're a musician and you're able to do that in any capacity, that's an extraordinarily rare and valuable thing to have in this world. And it doesn't really matter, in my opinion, if everybody likes you or not. What only matters is that you keep getting better at it. And that's where I'm at with this. I just want to keep getting better at it. But that's a real thing. People don't realize how much of this world is here to take from you if you're not able to find your own path, And so I just I deal with a lot of CEOs now because of this video business that I'm in, and I listen to these CEOs talk sometimes. When they hit about 50 years of age, I've heard a couple of them talk about how, I don't know, it's almost like they have a regret that they spent so much time accumulating things, but then their kids grow up, right? The kids leave the nest, and you can hear them kind of going, what do I do now? Like I was out conquering, but I never really bothered to think about what I really cared about, you know? And now they're kind of like reshifting a little bit. Like it's interesting. Like it's really important to like find your own purpose in your life and your own voice and strength, and work at it, make it, to bring it to the world. However you can do it. And I mean, that's what I tell myself, and I've really enjoyed this,
Yeah, I think a good point is here, maybe also be in the moment. But sometimes I realize that, I'm kind of like, I want to do this and that. And when my daughter comes by and oh, can you help me with that? I'm like, oh, no, I'm busy. And then I'm like, stop. I mean, she will grow up, and soon she comes to an age where she doesn't want to hear anything from you. So be in the moment. She wants you now, and she wants to, to spend time with you. And so, I have to remind myself of this too. But I enjoy it. We have breakfast together. We have dinner together. And then we talk about the day. And this is very important. There is no cell phones or no computers on the table, that we really talk. And sometimes we don't talk. Sometimes we don't have anything to say, but we just look at each other or look out of a window or whatever. But it's quality time, It's so. I think, I can clearly see the regret of all the CEOs, because they were providing for the family, of course, they were getting richer and whatever, but they lost, they missed the important thing of life, how growing up is and how things are. And I read to my daughter, and we play a game each night, and she tells me what she did. So this is very important, Sometimes I'm very tired, and I'm really like, oh man, I'm not really, it's a 7-year-old, it's not really that interesting, but and then I kind of, but it's now. The time is now. In German, we have a nice phrase. Maybe you can use it in your next song. It's die Feste feiern, wie sie fallen. Okay, the translation is, you have to do the parties as they come along, or you have to do the celebrations as they come along. Sometimes you don't feel like you want to go to a wedding, but there is a wedding right now, so go there and be in that moment. Or there is a funeral, and you don't really feel like going to the funeral, but you go there and be there in this moment. This is basically the essence of it. It's kind of life, I guess in English it's more like life gives you lemon, so make lemonade. Take what you get at this moment and make the best out of it. So that's basically it. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, here's the weird thing, in my opinion. There aren't analytics, if you want to use a modern word for this. There aren't analytics for the most important things in your life. You can't measure the value of a relationship with Google spreadsheets. Like
that's true.
You can't. But if you really break it all down, these are the most important aspects of your life. If you spend some time in therapy later, you'll find out that all your inner mind always thinks about is what happened to you in 4th grade, or when your dad left you. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand how much the internal world that artists are probably too sensitive to, how much that internal world influences your external reality. And what happens instead is you get a cheap substitute. You get a substitute from the TV or the government. And sometimes it's approximately close to maybe, what may be good for you or not, but it tends to cloud the picture. And, it's like this effort that you have to make almost every day to like reacquaint yourself with what the whole point of this deal was. And I'm looking at some like tomatoes growing outside in our little organic garden right now, and I'm just thinking, man, that's life. You got life growing with its own agenda. It doesn't care about your taxes. You should care about your taxes, though. Just you should probably pay them. But if your whole life becomes about things that don't really come from life proper, like a child is part of life, it's growing. Because in our world today, we don't have the analytics for that stuff. So it's easy to get kind of distracted. And if there's an emotional risk, you're even more likely to kind of like get outside of life and not pay attention to those things. But to me, I get pulled back into this, and I have to constantly ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I here?
Hmm.
What's important? And in the long run, yeah, I've been to a fair amount of parties and weddings, and those things. Again, you can't put a price tag, you can't put analytics on them, but they're the reason why human beings are here. I think why we're alive, and if you lose sight of that, you could just wake up at 50 or 60, which I don't want to do, and be like, oh shit, I don't want that feeling. I had that feeling with cancer. I'll never forget that. I was like, oh shit. So ever since then, I've been like, oh, I better work out, I better eat well. If a friend needs something, I better help them, because the money, I've seen people who've been famous in movies. I've seen people who've had a lot of money. I have yet to see any one of them sometimes that can prove to me that it was worth it when they're not feeling so great, when they're miserable, when they're lonely. I haven't seen anything to replace what happens when you sell yourself out and your soul short. I have seen the worst things happen to people who have compromised that for some reason. I have seen suffering like you can't imagine, people that went out into the world and gave the best of themselves to something that wasn't worthy of it, right? They have not recovered. They have not gotten better. They've lost it, So even if you don't have a lot, if you have a good relationship with some people and yourself, and you can make some really kick-ass, Neue Deutsche Härte. Deutsche Härte. I'll have to record that. You're going to have to record that and send it to me later. If whatever it takes, you just got to get out there and you got to do it. And for me, like if I can just sustain myself long enough to see this course run out for the next couple of years, try to get these shows, try to get these albums made, I can look back on myself, at 50 or older and be like, okay, well, Rich, whatever happened, but at least you didn't at least you didn't really compromise and run and hide. Like I don't do the hide thing. I can't do the hiding thing anymore. Like I gotta whatever enemy is there inside myself or outside, I just have to accept it, right? And figure out how I'm going to deal with it. Because this is the story of all of our human ancestors too. They all had the same problems. They all had very similar journeys. Sometimes a lot harder than what you've got going on. And that's just what you do as a human. You have to keep. I don't know. There's a safe space. There's love, which I think is the most important thing. You want to keep that in your life and really cherish it. And everything else is about growing that. Everything else is shit other than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it's also how should I say it? If you're not people sometimes box themselves in and giving them too specific goals or too so they can never reach, or so unattainable goals. And they're not flexible enough to go a different route if it's true. Needed to, so you have a certain goal, and I'm pretty sure you can reach it. Once hopefully Corona is over, you can come to Germany, and then we can have a little tour. It might be just 2 clubs, 3 clubs, whatever, but it is your tour, and it's something you did, and you can go home and with 60 you think, oh, back then, remember there was it smelled like piss, but it was so great, and so. But sometimes people are putting themselves too much obstacles because we want exactly this, and when this will happen, so we don't have time or we don't see the benefits of a detour, because sometimes the way is the goal, sometimes the detour is the better way to get something, and you end up something. For you, I could see something, or you're doing with the music, and then you meet some other guys, and then in 10 years you do music videos for the big guys, and you will be happy to it. And this is your way of doing the things you love and supporting the music you love. So, just be open for unexpected turns in your life. That's what I want to say, basically. Don't be too knuckleheaded.
That's brilliant. I feel like that's the story of my life, is the unexpected. That's been everything. Yeah, I didn't expect to run into Thomas. Had I not made that demo of 2 songs which weren't really that great, if they were okay, would have done nothing to have met him, right? So that's the kind of like synchronicity that's important in life. Like you have to show up, do the best of what you can at something, but be open to change, right? Be open to like somebody coming into your life or an event happening. Even the move down to LA was a big unknown during Corona and pandemic. I mean, like I wasn't expecting to do that. I wasn't expecting to break up with my girlfriend either. But if you're always building, there's a certain like stance. I feel like I have a stance that I take now in the world, which is I'm always want to be in a position where I'm growing and I'm getting better, whatever it is that I really want to do. And that the force of that carries into the trajectory and the momentum of that carries forward, so that if you run into some opportunity, the likelihood of being able to take that opportunity exponentially increases. And people don't realize that. They want everything to be like, okay, I'm going to do this, and this is. And
this is exactly what will happen, exactly. So, but this is kind of, you are in charge of your life. That's also the difference here. You know, I mean, you might not know where it really leads to, but you're doing the things you want to do, and you're trying your best, and you're out there, you're putting yourself out there, you're presenting, and you know, so this is also in charge, because some people just sit at home and, nobody's knocking on your door and getting you out. Oh, I know you are a great singer. Come here with me, and this will not happen. You have to do that, and you have to start somewhere. Sometimes I get really bad music sent to me, to play on my radio show. But I can hear I can hear that there's something great. The production value is really bad and whatever, But I even played songs who are really bad, but I could hear something special in them. There was a spark in it. And I could hear, these guys, they can really do something, or they meant something with it. So, 1,000 others would have kind of rejected it, but I played it, and I'm a nobody, But at least for them, I made their day, and I made them happy. So this is all, like you said before, we should kind of help each other to build towards the persons we really want to become. We are not yet, but we have a trajectory. We have a way to get better, to enhance ourselves, and to get it to a higher place. I was just reading Nietzsche, so it's some tough stuff. But so I'm the Nazis really misused it, but so I have to be with an Übermensch, with a superhuman. It's kind of misunderstood. But this is exactly what you kind of should shoot for. You should be shooting for something better. You want to better yourself. Anyway,
Übermensch.
I think you do. Übermensch, yeah, right. You can say it.
Well,
make a song. Übermensch.
You already are way ahead of the game there. Like,
I was born German. That's the only thing I was ahead.
Well, Germans have pretty good taste in music. The Übermensch. I heard you read some Nietzsche for Thomas.
Oh, you heard it already. Okay, I'm not sure if I really hit it right, but I hope he can use it.
You did it. I know that you did. He liked it.
Oh, cool, perfect.
Yeah, I like Nietzsche a lot. I studied philosophy quite a bit, and the Übermensch ideal is, I think it's a very real thing. Like, I think we're all supposed to be evolving into something better, and getting stuck along the way is just. It's life destroying. Like, you really have to recognize when you're stuck somewhere and try to push through it, and I'm just I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I've identified the one thing that I really wanted to do and really love to do, and I'm just really open now to like whatever needs to happen with it. Now, if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't matter to me, because at least I went out there and I did it, and I let the cards fall where they may. And from my own life experience, I will tell anybody listening, you have no idea, like the unexpected detour is how fate, I think, reveals itself, but you have to put in the effort. Like, I'm into a lot of esoteric philosophy, and I believe in like the human mind, the human ego, is a smaller version of what Carl Jung called self, which is your higher self, which is your dormant Übermensch. Now, for some reason, life in the situation we're in now, which I can get into later, which is really complicated with aliens and stuff, it needs that relationship between that ego or that willpower to go through the world and create the opportunities for the Übermensch to start to make its appearance, right? But it's a relationship you got to have with yourself, with your willpower, with your determination. And if your mind puts too many expectations onto it, you're limiting the availability of the unexpected to really do something really cool for you. Not on the timetable you might want, not in the way you might want, but the way you might want it, but actually be dysfunctional. Because, in my life, I've had to negotiate a lot of dysfunction, like I inherited from my life. I grew up a Jehovah's Witness. I grew up in these situations where, my mind was molded at a very small age. And if I was continuing on those paths of what I was told to do, what I thought was the highest level of achievement a human could have, I would be totally not in sync with what the Übermensch wants, in the long run. So I don't think people realize battles you fight every day and the little victories that you get from them do create the stability and the character of what makes your art good. It does. I don't want to say heroin. Everybody should just do heroin and make great music. But if you look at the problem is artists are in positions where what can create can also destroy, and so you have to be very careful, right? You have to have some kind of immunity from what can destroy you while you're out there trying to create, and that's a tough line, I think, for some people. But I've had enough destruction where I'm just like, nah, I get it. I get what would go wrong here, and the creative doesn't need that. Like David Lynch talks about it all the time. People come up to David Lynch and they ask him, hey, should I be, a struggling, depressed writer? He's like, no, don't do that. Just meditate, go to drink some coffee, and practice your art, without getting caught up in all that melodrama, if you can avoid it, So I'm a believer in all that kind of stuff, actually, quite a bit.
Yeah, you seem to quite well aware of the surroundings, and this is kind of this kind of makes you an Übermensch, because whatever is thrown your way, you can take it. This is what for me it means. That you're not a static figure, and if something gets thrown, you got blown over. You kind of withhold the blow, and you come back stronger. Or you can see, okay, now this goes this way, and I mean, you beat cancer, and everyone has obstacles and stuff, and it's just like some people are broken by them, and some people are getting stronger by them, and Nietzsche was for me a big inspiration for I grew up not in a Jehovah's Witnesses or something, but in a very strict church as well. So I can relate to this, that it's kind of, you get your blinders on, and you're only allowed to think like this. But when you realize the world is not like this, it's not black and white. There's not devil and God. There's so much gray. And what is it? And who am I? And what do I really want? And Nietzsche has a lot of quotes with. Okay, I'm not getting into this, but anyway, it really helped me getting out of a mindset I had. It broke out, and Anyway, it's cool.
He teaches a lot of like. What year was he alive? Was he in the late 19th century? Was it like?
I think he died 19 or 1901 or something. So so he was in the last century he was still alive, but he was not well. He had maybe there was this, is it chlamydia or something? He had some diseases. He
had syphilis, right?
Syphilis. Yeah, it was syphilis. Yeah.
Oh, so that's what drove him crazy. Well, he was.
Yeah, he was crazy at the end. That's for sure.
Be a musician or a philosopher, either way, you're going to meet the girls. Sounds like so.
And he wanted to be a musician. He could not. He wanted to be one. He was also very close with Wagner in the beginning, And he wanted the first book he wrote was for Wagner, and if he could, he would have sung it. He said, but he was not a musician. So, but I mean, so maybe that's why we can relate quite well to him, because he felt like a musician. He was an artist for sure, but he couldn't play instruments or sing.
Wow. Well, you putting some Nietzsche in a song is the next best thing to do, right?
Let's see how it works. I hope it works out.
I've never understood one word of anything. If you want to understand the power of music, I don't think I understand. I can recognize some words from Rammstein songs, but to this day, most Americans who listen to Rammstein, they have no idea what he's saying, right? So isn't that fascinating if you think about it?
But you can still feel the energy, what he's saying, and how he's saying. And let me tell you, to put your mind at ease, lots of Germans don't get it as well, because the best Rammstein songs, they are really multi-layered. I mean, I'm a little fanboy, so I shouldn't talk too much about it. But it's Rammstein, the lyrics. They seem to mean that, but you could interpret them most usually in at least 2 or 3 different ways, and that makes it so multifaceted. And it's I really like it, and we pulled it off a couple of times. But it's really like, what do we really mean? On the surface, they say this and that, and in the video, we kind of play with it. But it could be so much more. And if you really get into it, it's also art. It's, for me, Rammstein is the perfect art, because they're playing theater on stage, and they have so multi-layered lyrics that you can really find a lot in them. And so, yeah, for me, it's a big, and the music, it's kind of hard pop music. This is, all the boxes are checked for me. This is my kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm very much a writer. It's kind of how I got started in my creative world. I was a kid, I would write, and teachers would say, hey, this kid's maybe got some potential, and they would take me to a college for a day. So I was into poetry and writing quite a bit, and I still do a lot of that. And when I write lyrics, that's kind of my struggle. Is I am trying to write. I feel naturally better writing stuff that has a little bit more nuance to it. It's not so direct. And so that's the thing I noticed about Rammstein too, that I've been hearing, because I know even just to make it simple, like du hast, that means two things differently, right? It could be
yes, it's completely. It changes its meaning in the du hast is like you think first. He means you hate, but it means you have. Later on, du hast. Du hast mich gefragt und ich habe nichts gesagt. You have or you hate, and then you have asked me and I didn't say anything. And then also willst du bis der Tod der Scheide. He's playing with words, because it's actually, the real word would be, willst du bis der Tod uns scheidet. Yeah, but he used Scheide, and this is the German word for vagina. So it's also, he's twisting it's just, the unfortunate part for you is, I can also, you appreciate the music and the lyrics, how they sound, and the Teutonic charm of it. And I also can appreciate the little tidbits he puts in there that mean something or mean something else, and or the play on words, basically. If if you know me better, most of my friends is like, because I made a lot of word jokes when, just twisting words around and like, that's another Tobias. Okay, yeah, we got it. Ha ha ha. I'm mostly laughing about this myself. But anyway, Rammstein lyrics are very rich in that and full with that. It's very rarely that it means only one thing, and this is a big achievement, I think, to have so. As an artist, you want to write. I mean, you can talk about now how you want to write, but you like to, or I think you would like to write in a very broad way, so that everyone can kind of find his own conclusion. For me, punk is where it tells you exactly what to think, what to do, what is right and what is wrong. That's punk. But if you want to keep it more open and accessible to people, then you keep it in broader terms. You still tell a story, but you let people, because you might be sad, you might be happy, or whatever. So it means something else for everyone in a certain period, in a certain, when you're happy, it means something else to you when you're sad. So it can help you getting up or make you even more sad and kind of cherish your sadness or something. So, and I really like that there is, it doesn't tell you exactly what it is. You can find your own meaning in it, and that's great with Rammstein lyrics.
So I've sang Du Hast at karaoke a few times, and I had no idea I was singing about a vagina until right now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's just a little twist. It's just like he puts he omits a few letters, and then it's something else. But I mean, you get it in the whole arc of a sense. It makes sense, and people would hear it, and then some people would, what? But he said it a little bit wrong. Oh, he means something else, maybe.
Yeah. I actually feel, so I'm with you. To me, power pop, hard pop, combined with poetry. I think the thing about Rammstein and some of these German bands for Americans is it's like this hyper masculinity that's not in America. Masculinity is kind of sometimes just overdone in ways that are really destructive. But in some ways, but masculine power is power, and it's good to have a form of it in your life that has the capacity to bring a strength, but not blind aggression. It's like it's like a dangerous thing that people want. Right, people need to have, and you need to have it in nature for self-preservation and that kind of thing.
Exactly, so, that's exactly what I was thinking now.
Yeah. If you don't have it, you're just going to be pushed around by predators and things like that. So I think access to that kind of power. So in my personal journey, reclaiming the masculine has been my journey because I was denied it as a young child. So I have the anger that came with repressing that is all there. But going out and just being destructive is typically what happens when you try to reclaim it in most people's lives. So I think there's this really fun thing that Rammstein does, and even singing in German that does, where you get to kind of embrace that power. But if you bring that creative, artistic part to it, it sort of focuses it into a way that I think is really it's tongue in cheek, but it's still powerful. And I think that's really where you get into some real spiritual power, I think, with this type of music. And then when you add the poetry, see, the thing is about lyrics to me, and I try to do this, I don't know if I'm that successful, but it will be my goal ongoing, is that I do find that writing in that more abstract, poetic way, so I really think that words are like codes. I think music is code. Yep. And what you're doing, you're unlocking this other side of reality that usually you have to take psychedelics or have a shaman do it.
It's a gateway. It's a gateway to somewhere.
Somewhere, right? Yeah, exactly. And so now in the traditional pop format, the first layer is hey, let's go to the party, let's have some fun, let's rock and roll. That's cool. And that is something you should do. You should do all those things, right? But if you can marry that with something a little bit deeper, I think that's why bands like Rammstein and others who do that are the most popular bands on the planet, because they might not know it and other people might not know it, but you're channeling something in the human psyche that it can't comprehend fully intellectually. And it's very real and it's very important, because otherwise you go through your life and you could literally just be a robot without knowing it, right? And so I think those twists of words and the music, it can all really come together. And it's like reading a fairy tale when you're 5 years old. Your brain is so open at that age to this mystery of life, those fairy tales are all codes. They're all like coded information.
Yep, exactly. You're exactly right. You know, I read about the Brother Grimm. I don't know if you know the Brothers Grimm, who kind of wrote down all the fairy tales they heard, and they were. It's even code, and it's also ancient history because it was before the Christians came or the Christian faith. You know, there was all these other gods and stuff, and some of these. Witches or something, they were actually goddesses or you know, it was all, like you said, it's code. Also the fairy tales are code. There was something behind it. There was, yes, it was a meaning like don't walk in the woods, be careful of that and whatever, you know, be careful with certain things. But also it was oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
It was information. It was
information, exactly.
It was see the world right now, here's the thing, so political correctness, I'm not totally against the idea of why it exists, but you know, there's a danger that people don't understand about linear thinking. Linear thinking now is something that you see almost everywhere. You see it because, you know, honestly, we're living in a world now where computers and the binary modality of the way computers work really influence us in ways that we don't, as humans, understand. And one thing about being a human being, and you work out, I've seen your physique. If you don't work out at the gym, what happens? You start to atrophy. Your muscles will shrink, right?
Yeah.
They don't sound like they're shrinking now, though. They sound like
no, so I was just you don't see my tweet my feed. I was just showing my muscles. I can do a little bit better.
I can do it. I haven't had a gym in like 5 months. That's no excuse, Rich. I used to do it pretty good.
It is not. I want you strong.
Okay.
Oh, this is more like Russian or something.
Russian, yes. Well, we can talk Russian.
Yeah, очень хорошо.
No, so here's my Russian story real quick. I started learning Russian when I was like 25, and there was this kid named Mikhail. And this is before Borat came out. This is
okay.
Okay. So Mikhail comes up to me one day. He's like, Rich, I want to ask you a question. I'm like, well, what is it, Mikhail? What's going on? What's happening? He's like, how do you ask American woman for the sex? For the sex. And I was like, I don't know, Mikhail. I wish I knew. I would be asking the American woman for the sex. He was awesome, but like so then Borat comes out, and I'm like, oh, I already met Borat. I already know him. So to all you Russians out there, I'm not trying because I don't want to.
Borat has a sexy time.
He has the sexy times. Yes, I have many sexy times. With your mother. Yeah, he's interesting. No, but I took Russian and because I wanted to be in a James Bond movie, and I wanted to play the Russian guy that gets shot. Like he's got like 2 lines, you know, like. Smatrit Yuri, Smatrit, and then he dies, right? I just wanted that. But I trained with Russian boxers. I trained for a while with Russians, and they're an entertaining bunch. They're very difficult people. You don't want to get into a pain contest with a Russian. That's one thing I learned. They'll always win. But back to the poetry. So I really think that as we go through life in this country and in this modern world, we are in a situation where our brains are being influenced by the way in which we process information, because everything is kind of coming out from the zeitgeist for the benefit of the algorithm. If you really think about it, like our Twitter feeds, our Google searches, you know, they're all being categorized and listed and determined by what's efficient for the binary way in which computers work. But we're not computers. Like we have this, like some people might think we are, but I think the human being is connected to some other very more primal, archetypical forces that go outside of what we would call our infrastructure for the day. So I think what happens that people don't realize is that the longer you stay in this binary world, the more you will atrophy your soul. And of course, religion was supposed to like help with that, but religion got co-opted by the usual suspects in the human condition, the greed, you know, the perversion. So religion has sort of left us as the main vehicle by which we judged and guided our inner world. Philosophy has helped with that, and some religion still works, in my opinion. So, but I think that's where music, like, I don't want to like to just talk it up too much, but like I feel like when someone loves a song, they love a song because of the power of a song beyond just the words being used, just the music itself. There's something where it's reconnecting you with the thing that makes you truly human. And if you're not careful, if the world gets really diluted with music to the point where it's just music coming from like the corporate, system, it's all about just, hey, it's the party time thing. But you wind up just like in America, it's really bad. I feel like in America, like unlike Europe, the one thing that America really has going against it is we don't even realize this, but we've been conditioned from the day one when we were born here to really view your life in terms of how much consumer value you offer or take. Like you don't judge things based upon whether they're good or not. Sometimes you judge it based upon whether or not it's a good deal, right?
Or if they are popular. That's another thing that I really don't. Just because something is popular, the church is popular. That doesn't make it right. It's kind of, if this song, we streamed like 1 million streams, and okay, it means 1 million people. Yeah, okay, that's success. I can see that, but I don't like the music, so well, it doesn't mean anything. It's just like you said in the beginning. It's just something you can measure. This is real music is beyond measuring, because if you are, there's a suicidal person and it hears a song and it reminds him of, oh, there was this girl and I was so in love, and then he puts away the gun or whatever. So this is a powerful, this is a real. I'm with you absolutely. I might be not as spiritual as you, but it's a spiritual thing. It's if you really feel it. Sometimes I get goosebumps when I sing, because it's so. It kind of it affects me so much, and this is how it should be. It's this transcendence experience.
One thing that people, I hope when they listen to this later and watch this, I hope they realize that, regardless of what type of music you like or, whatever, what I'm or you or anyone who's a musician is capable of achieving, the one thing about music is it does connect you to that other world where if you are in a situation like you're talking about with suicide, it can't. Listen, I thought it was a cliche for the longest time, but I started really realizing that music literally has saved people's lives. Like it really has done that. It's not bullshit, and so why does that happen? Like why is that happening? And you realize it just is.
It kind of bypasses all the, it goes to the emotional core of it, and every person has it, and sometimes we get back to the children's story I told you with my daughter. We are so piled off, we are so entrenched in things, in layers. We have to be, we have to function, we have to do this, and I have to at 5 o'clock I have to be there, and and so that we kind of lose a big part of ourselves, and music is a reconnector to it, and it just like. I just close my eyes and listen to a song, and it doesn't mean anything. Sometimes I dance, I'm not a good dancer. I mean, I won once a dancing contest. Yeah, it was funny. It was on a show in Montreal where I was, and I didn't know it was. Anyway, it was cool. We won something, and it was very funny. But this is exactly. I realize I'm not a good dancer, but I like to move my body, and it feels so good to like you feel so good with singing. It also feels good to move and just I don't really care if it looks good, because some people are really like oh, how do I look, and am I too fat or am I too thin or whatever. So just be in the moment, be in this spirit of it, and just let it happen. And about being in the moment and being in spirit, I haven't had my dinner yet, and my earthly vessel tells me I'm getting a little bit hungry.
It sounds like you're getting a little. You need your carbs. You need your calories.
No, I'm doing ketogenic diet. I'm doing meat. I will have some meat and fat and meat protein something.
Well, hey, being Mr. Meat War, I support your meat decisions wholeheartedly.
Nice to meet you.
That's fine. That's how you use words.
Exactly.
And another language on top of that, you made a joke in another language, so you must have a thing for words.
Yeah, I actually remember the first joke I did in English, and I was so proud of myself because it's a word joke. Should I share it? It's a very silly joke, but it's one of my guys from the host family I was living in the United States, in Washington D.C. actually. He said, "Oh, I realized, the guys who make glue, they are really rich because you need glue for everything. You need glue for household utensils and for the car, you glue the car seats and everything. You need glue." And I was like, "And I have no clue who this might be." Ha ha ha! You're supposed to laugh now.
I'm laughing.
If this is your laughing, you're not in sync with yourself, with your inner child. Let it out.
Oh, I know. I like how inventive you were with that. You went the full distance with that. You had the whole story and everything with that. That's good. Did you ever play Clue growing up? Did you ever play the video game, the board game?
What Clue?
Yeah.
Clue, the board game. Oh yeah, this is a cool game with who done it, who was the murder, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Well, so one of these days, I want you to send me all your workout tips because I know you exercise, and I don't know if do you have a gym you're going to right now?
I just switched gyms after 9 years. And I will get into some new exercises now. I just talked with with a friend of mine who's into kettlebell, so I'm trying that because I was seeing on Joe Rogan somebody talked about kettlebell, and I really need to get into this.
That was a Russian. It was
exactly. It was a Russian. He was really cool. He didn't like. You saw it as well, I suppose. He doesn't like vegetables, and he just eats what he needs to eat.
Yeah.
So it's funny.
Yeah. Well, hey, go eat your non-vegetable diet. Eat all your meats and
meat pizza. Tonight is meat pizza time.
Gotta love keto, man. Keto, you get avocados, you get meat, you get dairy,
and you get really ripped. That's maybe the next talk I'm doing without any shirt, and so maybe in a let's give it like 1 or 2 months, and then we talk again, and then.
Well, I'm gonna go. My voice will probably get deeper by then too. I'll sound even more. How do you say it again? Fleischkrieg.
Fleischkrieg. Fleischkrieg. Du hast mich gefragt. Okay, sorry, I don't know the lyrics by heart.
I'm gonna go eat some meat so I can start sounding tougher.
Do that.
Du hast.
Okay, I mean, thank you very much for talking with me, for the time you had. Maybe send me your links so I can link to everything. I think I have most, but yeah, just give me everything you have, and I can put it under the video, and it will become a podcast later.
Awesome.
I sent you the links. Thank you for your time. Sorry, I'm hungry now. But we will definitely do it again. And stay in touch and all the best. I mean, I know, after talking now with you for 2 hours, I know you will make it because you will make it. There is no way around it. And because success is not that you have 100 million followers or something. It's something that, the one person you reach or whatever, you know what success is for you. And then, you cannot fail.
And some free beer in Germany.
Yeah. And I'm going to check out your movie as well. I'm going to see Starleaf. Starleaf. I wrote it down.
It's a German version. I'll send you the German link to it.
No, I'd want to see the English version. I'd rather have the English version because, I mean, the German dubbing is usually done very well, but I want to hear original voices. Sorry, I'm not drunk. I was just a little bit. My words slurred a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll send you the English version.
Yes, man. Please do that. Okay. Thank you very much, and have a good you have a morning, right? For you, it's morning.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just getting started here.
Have a great morning, and I talk to you maybe in 1 or 2 months. When is your album due? I mean, not that to put you under pressure or something.
So my goal is to try to get it by the end of next month. If I can't get the whole album out, I'll at least get a couple singles out.
Okay,
Yeah.
or like an EP or something.
EP is something, yeah. I gotta get something out because it's driving me crazy. But I think it's gonna happen, no problem. I think.
Okay, perfect. Just send it to me, and I can, and then we can talk about it.
Awesome, buddy.
Okay,
all right.
Thank you very much for your time, and talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
Bye.